The chief executives of AMD and NVIDIA are first cousins once removed. Lisa Su and Jensen Huang, both born in Taiwan, both shaped by elite American engineering, now lead the two companies defining the future of AI. One built the empire. The other took over a dying chipmaker worth barely $2 a share and turned it into something worth hundreds of billions. What connects their paths begins far from Silicon Valley. On paper, Lisa Su and Jensen Huang are separated by decades of corporate rivalry and the distance between two tech giants. But their connection runs deeper than the competition for market share. Su's maternal grandfather and Huang's mother were siblings, making them first cousins once removed, a relationship confirmed in interviews by both executives. They did not grow up together, and Su has described their bond as distant, more a footnote than a factor in business. Still, the fact remains. The CEOs steering AMD and NVIDIA through the AI age share not just an industry, but a family, rooted in Tainan, Taiwan. This quiet link between Su and Huang adds a personal dimension to a much larger contest. Their shared heritage and parallel journeys through elite American engineering programs are rare enough. But the stakes for their companies, and for the world, run far beyond family ties. According to Chris Miller's Chip War, semiconductors are now the strategic heart of the 21st century global power balance. Chips decide who leads in AI, cloud infrastructure, and even national security. Every major breakthrough in computing, from gaming to supercomputers, traces back to these slivers of silicon. That is why the rivalry between AMD and NVIDIA matters so much. It is not just about quarterly earnings or product launches. It is about who can shape the future of AI and which company will supply the brains behind tomorrow's machines. The fact that two distant relatives from Taiwan now lead this race is more than coincidence. It is a reminder that the story of technology is also a story of migration, family, and the quiet determination to change the balance of power, one chip at a time. Lisa Su was born in Tainan, Taiwan, in November 1969. When she was 3, her family moved to New York City, joining a wave of Taiwanese immigrants who saw the United States as a place where technical skill could open doors. Su's parents, both engineers, encouraged early curiosity. She took apart toys and household gadgets, trying to understand how they worked. In interviews, Su has described this as the beginning of her hands-on approach to problem solving, a habit formed long before she ever set foot in a lab. By the mid-1980s, Su was attending the Bronx High School of Science. The school's reputation for producing future scientists and engineers was already well established. Its halls were filled with students who saw advanced calculus and physics not as hurdles, but as invitations. Su graduated in 1986, having spent 4 years immersed in a culture that rewarded persistence and intellectual rigor. That drive carried her to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where she enrolled immediately after high school. MIT's electrical engineering program was, and still is, one of the most demanding in the world. Su completed her bachelor's degree in 1990, a master's in 1991, and a doctorate in 1994. Her doctoral work focused on silicon on insulator MOSFETs, a technology that would later become central to the chip industry's pursuit of faster, more efficient processors. According to her public remarks, the years at MIT were formative. The discipline of research, the pressure to ask better questions, and the expectation to build things that actually worked, these were lessons that stayed with her. Long before she was called to rescue AMD, Su had already learned to think in timelines that stretched across decades, not quarters. That habit of engineering patience, shaped by her early education, would prove essential when the stakes became existential. Lisa Su's technical career began in the foundries and labs of Texas Instruments, where she worked on analog and mixed-signal integrated circuits. The work required an eye for detail and a respect for process, traits that would follow her throughout her career. But it was at IBM in the late 1990s and early 2000s that Sue's reputation for operational discipline started to take shape. She was tapped to lead the technical team behind the Cell Broadband Engine, a processor that would power Sony's PlayStation 3. The Cell project was notorious for its difficulty, a multi-company effort, tight schedules, and a design that pushed the limits of what was possible in silicon at the time. Sue's colleagues later credited her with keeping the program on track, managing cross-functional teams, and insisting on a level of schedule discipline that was rare in such high-stakes projects. IBM's internal reviews noted her role in integrating new copper interconnects, which delivered a significant jump in performance over older designs. After more than a decade at IBM, Sue moved to Freescale Semiconductor as Senior Vice President of Networking and Multimedia. There, she faced a different challenge, a sprawling product portfolio, and a company under pressure to cut costs. Sue led an effort to consolidate overlapping product lines and instilled a design-for-cost culture that trimmed R&D spending by about 15% without derailing the product roadmap. The lessons from Freescale were clear: shipping on time, staying within budget, and maintaining technical credibility could mean the difference between survival and decline. By the time Sue arrived at AMD, she had built a track record that combined technical depth with operational rigor. She had seen how complex chip projects could fail without discipline, and how cost control could be the deciding factor in a competitive industry. These experiences would become central to her approach as she faced the daunting task of turning around a company many had already written off. By the fall of 2014, AMD was running out of options. The company's stock hovered between $2 and $3, reflecting Wall Street's near total loss of faith. Debt stood at roughly $2.2 billion. Cash reserves were shrinking. The board, under mounting pressure, appointed Lisa Su as Chief Executive Officer in October. Her reputation for operational discipline was well known, but even supporters understood she was stepping into a situation many believed was past saving. Inside AMD, the product pipeline was fractured. Years of trying to compete on too many fronts had left the company with aging architectures and little to show for its research and development spending. Intel's processors were faster and more efficient. NVIDIA was pulling away in graphics. AMD's own board minutes and investor presentations from the period described the mood as urgent. Some called it the brink of financial collapse. Sue's response was direct. Within weeks, she called for a strategic reset. According to AMD's investor materials, the company drafted what became known internally as the Zen Memo. The plan rested on 3 pillars: unify all central processing units under a single architecture, shift to a chiplet-based design to improve yields and scalability, and partner with external foundries, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, to access advanced manufacturing. This was not a minor adjustment. Roughly $1 billion in research and development was reallocated, pulling resources from side projects and legacy designs to focus the entire engineering organization on Zen. The risks were obvious. Betting everything on a new architecture meant that if Zen failed, there would be no fallback. The timeline was tight: 3 years from concept to market-ready silicon. Sue's approach drew on her background at IBM and Freescale, where she had learned to prioritize execution over promises. There was no grand public campaign, just a quiet, relentless push to turn the plan into reality. For AMD, this was the moment the company stopped trying to be everything to everyone and started fighting for survival with a single, focused bet. Ryzen's 2017 debut, built on Zen architecture, disrupted the desktop market with performance that rivaled Intel's flagship chips, often for less. AMD's resurgence extended to data centers as EPYC launched that same year, offering high core counts and strong value. By 2018, Microsoft, Meta, and Oracle adopted EPYC-powered cloud instances, and successive generations like Genoa and Bergamo pushed enterprise capabilities further. In 2022, AMD acquired Xilinx for $49 billion, bringing adaptive computing and FPGA expertise into its fold and expanding into 5G, automotive, and edge AI. The MI300X accelerator arrived in late 2023, targeting AI training, with Microsoft and Meta as early customers. AMD's roadmap now points to MI350 in 2025. Over 10 years, its stock price soared 50-fold, cementing AMD as NVIDIA's main challenger. Recognition has followed both Lisa Su and Jensen Huang, but the spotlight lands differently on each. Su became the first woman to receive the IEEE Robert N. Noyce Medal, joining a short list of semiconductor pioneers. Time named her Chief Executive Officer of the Year in 2024. A rare honor for any executive, let alone one who once faced doubts about her ability to lead in a male-dominated field. Huang, too, has filled his shelves with industry awards. Yet the rivalry between these distant cousins is more philosophical than personal. Both trace their roots to Tainan, Taiwan. Both arrived in the United States as children, drawn into the discipline of American engineering. Their quiet competition now shapes not just their companies, but the future of artificial intelligence. In the story of migration and technical ambition, the family connection is a subtle thread, reminding us that the race to define an era can begin with a single decision to cross an ocean. Today, AMD trades at over $200 billion in market value, a figure once unthinkable. Quiet leadership, careful bets, and family roots now shape the future of AI computing. As the industry races forward, the balance between rivalry and reinvention becomes the real story behind every chip.